your ability to remain quiet. This quietness comes when you have patience. The patience comes when you are not in a rush, when you don't feel quickly irritated. That's when you have patience. Composure in your mind occurs when you have patience. That's how it can bring down the mind's restlessness, and the mind can become quiet. And when the mind is quiet, your awareness is on yourself. That's what the truth of existence, consciousness of existence, as the eternal soul. You have that consciousness. So this is how slowly you have to practice. Very good, wonderful. Now I can take your questions, Michael.
I would like to know when I will be able to know the truth of my real self and what I am supposed to do here.
Yeah, you see, when the mind becomes silent, it is unchangeable. But as long as there are thoughts and visions, they keep changing in quick succession. It won't stay into one thought steadily. Thought after thought keep coming. So that means your mind is still into imagination. So once you just achieve just watching, you don't analyze about your thoughts, you don't bother what it is, then they will disappear, then the silence will descend in your mind. When the mind is silent, what appears is the awareness of your existence, and that is the truth. For a long time, when you are able to achieve this, then you can be aware of your real self for a long time. And when you do more and more such practice of remaining quiet, that is what is known as deeper meditation and tapas. That your ability to remain in patience. So on the path, any tests may come, but should not disturb you at all under any circumstances. Then you will know that you are there and your awareness will be on your real self. That's what you have to achieve.
On the path of spirituality, is the collective consciousness a burden to the development of spirituality? Do we have to need to protect ourselves through physical and mental isolation from other people?
A solitude can be very helpful for you to practice meditation, thus achieve total silence and avoid the diversion of mental attention here and there, so it can remain onto itself. So that's what you can achieve. So whatever absolutely necessary for you in your day-to-day life, you can mingle with people. However, in other ways, spiritually, if you can sit with like-minded people as a group in group meditation also, if it suits you, that is also very good. That could be inspiring to each other to go into meditation, to practice silence in the mind. So that is how you can practice and achieve.
Actually, process of thinking, is this a process of an addiction? Because we have to think all the time, to say we stop thinking. No, we have to think. Is that an addiction?
Yeah, thinking, if not addiction, we can call it habitual. Mind has become habitual to keep imagining. That's what generates thinking, thoughts coming all the time. So if at all there has to be thoughts, try to be more positive in your thinking. And you may find some people who are like-minded like you and think in the same way, and you may not find. But for such thing you shall not bother. You have to bother what you think. That is more important. You may not be able to change others easily, but you can change yourself.
Thank you, Babaji.
Would you please describe the process by which you overcame doubt in the Guru?
If you are asking from my experiences, a doubt never occurred to me. Probably because it was a love at sight. Naturally, I had just fallen in love. And that love was always there for sake of love. So a doubt never occurred. And I firmly knew whatever I need, the self-realization, that knowledge, that wisdom, that love is in the Guru. Because of this, at all times, in whatever way the Guru behaved towards me particularly, or towards anybody, I knew somehow that inside he is totally in silence and he is compassionate. Even if he is scolding because he is compassionate. Even if he is trying to slap somebody, I knew he is compassionate, that's why he is slapping. If he was not compassionate, he would have just kept quiet, he wouldn't have bothered. So that is the thing. So thus, a doubt never occurred to me that I really don't know that point at all.
Namaste Babaji. In an answer Babaji gave a couple of weeks ago to a question, Babaji said that when the consciousness becomes aware of an apple, it itself becomes an apple in its own imagination, as an example. So Babaji, does the universe actually exist outside of the mind?
It is outside our small mind because the mind's potency is very less. This mind's ultimate truth, which is the supreme consciousness, this universe is within that consciousness. Just like in your mind, within your mind, a small world exists. So whatever potency the mind is, so within that, whatever exists as a world, its potency also will be only that much. For that world, like your mind is all pervaded, because it cannot go beyond. Technically, scientifically, spiritually, in any way, it cannot go beyond. Just like this universe cannot go beyond space. There is no such place that there is some place which is beyond this space, which is not this space, other than this space, which is not occupying the space. There is no such thing. So that's what to Adi Shankara, when Lord Shiva came as an untouchable country made with alcohol, when Adi Shankara said, "Bhai, give way, come on, give way, don't be on my way." He was going to have a bath in the holy river Ganga. Then that person asked, Brahmanda means this space. Out of this space, if there is any such place which is not occupying the space also, which is independent of the space, show me such a place, and then I will go away to that place. Because both you and me are occupying the same space. We cannot go out of this space. Wherever I go, if you come and keep asking me, you go away, I cannot go away. It is not possible. You have to show me such a place. Then only I will go. So then Adi Shankara prostrates. The person who has this knowledge and wisdom cannot be an ordinary person. The story says that person disappeared. And they opine that it was Lord Shiva who had appeared to test Adi Shankara and remove his iota of the ego that it had occurred to him. Like that. So this universe is beyond our mind, because our mind is a small bubble, small droplet. But this universe is within that space, consciousness, that which is the ultimate truth.
Thank you, Baba.
Baba, they say that Hanuman is the perfect devotee. Why do we say Hanuman is the perfect devotee? Can you explain?
Perfection means his personality, his character, his culture, his understanding, his wisdom, everything was always very perfect. First thing we try to understand, he was a self realized soul, as Yoga Vasistha puts it. Though widely devotees might believe him as an incarnation of Shiva and so on, whatever it is up to devotees' belief, no problem. But if we try to see this way, as Yoga Vasistha puts, he was a self-realized soul. But he himself did not ever claim to be a guru. He was in the Dasya Bhava as a servant to Lord Rama. He was humble in all humility. He never claimed or had any arrogance or ego of his own self-realization. So his wisdom was wonderful always. Means he had lot of patience, that was another thing. Like for example, when first Rama and Lakshmana were approaching the mountain of Rishyamukha, where Sugriva was residing out of the fear of his brother Vali, then first Sugriva and a couple of others doubt, watching Rama and Lakshmana, whether it is Vali who has sent these people to kill Sugriva. So they were scared. But Hanuman says, no, we must not decide and make a judgment like that. Let me find out who are they. At least let me talk to them. Give me permission, Sugriva. Seeking Sugriva's permission, because Sugriva was his king. So that was his wisdom, his humility, not to doubt without verifying, not to take anything at face value. So he had that wisdom. So this type of characteristics that he depicted in the story of Ramayana while behaving, so it has been told that he was the perfect devotee. Even Shri Rama said, when he found out about Sita and came back and informed Shri Rama, Shri Rama says, you are equivalent to my brother Bharata. So he hugged him. You are not simply a servant, you are like my brother, he said. So that was how his greatness, his character is every way is wonderful. It is such an inspiring role model for anyone.
Thank you, Babaji.
Babaji, on a recent post on Babaji's Facebook, the quote said, "The mind of a self-realized is like a mirror. It grasps nothing and expects nothing. It reflects but does not hold." Could Babaji explain this this state of a yogi, which is like a mirror?
To say like a mirror is like a witness. Like the yogi also, in the naked eyes, gets to see this world, but mentally remains unaffected. The mind is pure consciousness. It won't absorb any imprints. It doesn't keep anything in its mind. Okay, I want this, oh, this is mine, why is this happening? So I must not give up all the time. We don't allow that to play in the mind. So it is just a reflection. Reflection means, you see, the eyes get to see this world through the eye sensory organs, and through the nervous system this message reaches brain. Then the brain reflects this world, this universe. Watching that, the mind has to catch and keep in itself, register in itself, and absorb an imprint, considering this world to be a reality. Then the mind becomes a victim of this imagination. Whereas a yogi doesn't allow, it doesn't happen to a yogi that his mind will not consider that as a reality. He is totally aware that it's only an appearance which will disappear, an impermanent appearance which will disappear. So any incident, any happening, any scene, any drishya, anything doesn't affect the yogi. His consciousness always remains pure. It doesn't become a mind anymore, though he gets to see the world. So the brain may reflect, but the mind will not absorb it. It will remain ever silent one. That's what I meant exactly.
Thank you, Babaji.
Thanks, Babaji. I have just a very simple question. How can we become better human beings, Babaji?
So when your mind is totally purified, very well for once for all, then it would have given up selfishness and narrow-mindedness. Generally, human beings would have become used to thinking about selfishness and narrow-mindedness. Often you will get to see in the society, they talking one set of justice for themselves, another set of justice for others. Like they might find fault with others' children, but to their children they might be defending. Just an example. So I'm not directing against any individual or group. Just for sake of education I'm talking. So this narrow-mindedness disappears. That person will always try to see a larger cause and justice. If a person is wrong, even if that person is one's own son or anything, is wrong. Behavior is wrong. That person is jealous of somebody. He is unnecessarily trying to manipulate the other, trying to misjudge the other. He is feeling insecure. So all these things will disappear. Once this disappears, you will always be a better human being. You will be able to consider about others, each other, and a larger cause. You won't be selfish. You won't do one thing for yourself, another thing for others.
Thank you, Babaji.
Babaji, when we have difficulties in our lives, do they arise, do they come as a sort of penalty because we've done wrong in the past? Or is it rather timed by the Lord that it's a way to help us grow, that we're ready to be able to sort of face something and deal with it?
Yeah. So something wrong means, say, let us say, instead of saying wrong thing, some mistake. Like for example, but that we are all born in this world itself was a mistake. Means we got trapped into this world, all happening of good and bad, right and wrong, we had to undergo. So like that is happened. So we cannot simply run away. Like Swamiji's example, remember the tongue in the midst of 32 wicked teeth which are ready to bite you. The tongue cannot run away. It has to live in the midst of 32 teeth. But skillfully it has to be moving up and down and yet it remains unattached. Anything that is tasty, it will send it inside. If it is not tasty, it will spit it out. It won't keep anything for itself. That's how Swamiji was explaining to me once. So like that, difficulties we must consider as an opportunity to understand our mistakes so that we don't repeat them. Instead of unnecessarily brooding, so we had done something and as a punishment this thing has come. But if we take it more positively, it's an opportunity for us to learn lessons. It's an educational thing. So that's how it should go, in my opinion.
I have a question, for self-realization, it means it happens only when the karma is no longer there. So for example, in case of Jnana Sambandar, his karma got over only at the age of 3. And in your case, he did not do any tapas at that time, but in your case, you got enlightened at 50 and around 50. And so what I mean to ask is, suppose how can we burn? I mean, when we are born in this world with the certain karma, prarabdha karma, I think it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then how can we burn our karmas? One is we are doing the meditation. Does the meditation help in burning out the karmas, or if there is another person who is not meditating, and is he burning also his burning of karma, and a person who is meditating, his burning of karma are the same, or is there a difference?
You see, first thing one needs to understand, the karma is acquired as an imprint in the mind, in the consciousness. Through the practice of meditation, that can be burned and the consciousness becomes pure. And another thing, whatever we undergo in this world, if it is not according to our expectation, if it is not according to our liking, then we have a tendency to call it as a karma. Whereas there is really no karma if we try to see. Things happen. Some we like, some we may not like. Like this world is going on and on and on. If we like it, it's okay. If we don't like it, it becomes karma. Why we are here? So, if the mind becomes quiet and silent and accepts, if there is acceptance, all karma would vanish in split second like that one. So like as you were talking that we did tapas and achieved self-enlightenment or the burning of all karmas at the age of 50 or so like that. 45 in fact when we completed the tapas. But
I'm sorry.
it's
Please
okay.
forgive me, Baba.
And no problem. 5 years difference is no problem. I won't punish you. Don't worry. And you see now what is the important point to understand? The world saw me doing a 5-year tapas because beard came, some matted hair came, and changes occurred in the body also. But we were doing tapas many years previously also. How? One was sitting for 6 to 7 hours of meditation, quietly achieving the quietness of the mind, and the pure consciousness was occurring. Also, we had the fortune that we got the lotus feet of our beloved master to serve, to be in his ashram, like under the umbrella of his grace, pure grace. All these things were there. So whatever was happening from outside appearance, our mind was quietly accepting. It was never into any brooding. It never questioned why this is happening, why not this, why didn't it happen, why didn't I was given a car, why is that I have to wait for 3 hours for a city bus and go. Nothing bothered. Mind never bothered for anything. It simply enjoyed everything as a service. Let this service reach the lotus feet of my master. So the tapas was going on and the burning process was also on. So we never felt of any prarabdha karma. So anybody, if they can adopt this type of method, so whether they meditate or don't meditate, whenever possible you meditate, otherwise also whatever keep happening, just keep accepting in the mind so that the mind is not allowed to go in a brooding, then you will be able to achieve burning of the prarabdha karmas.
Thank you, Babaji. Thank you.
Hi, Babaji. You often in these sessions talk about the brain and the mind. So I've had a question really, what is personality? Is it something we just gain once we're born? Is there something else there? It often seems that I stand in my own way, I'm in my own way when I meditate. So what is personality? Is it a thing?
A personality has come by a sheer imagination and ignorance of the fact about ourselves. In this world, we need to know about ourselves, we need to identify about ourselves so that others also recognize us in that way, and we also know if somebody recognizes us in that way, that we know. Like for example, Andy is the name. So you need to know that what is it you, if somebody calls you Andy, you have to respond. If you know about yourself, you will respond, otherwise you won't know how to respond. So you would have imagined this body as Andy, that you. So that's how a personality has become. Suppose you would have imagined, I'm a British person. So another subtle body would have sat in your consciousness. Suppose you imagine, I am a Christian, I am a Hindu, I am like this, I am a businessman, I am a job holder, I am somebody's husband, I am somebody's son, somebody's father. All these subtle bodies sit into the imagination of the consciousness. They settle in the subconscious state. That's how personalities all come into existence, which really does not exist at all. Everything. So, in this milieu of recognizing ourselves in so many ways, but we would have forgotten the actual existence of us as the infinite immortal soul. So, because we don't know what it is, until we do not know, we become aware in our consciousness, we cannot recognize ourselves as that Atman, that soul. So, we would be recognizing ourselves in so many other ways. So, that is how these personalities all come into existence, which does not exist at all.
As just an extra question to that, sometimes during the day I'm bored, I'm kind of become quiet because the question, who am I, comes to me. So where does that come from? Because it's always quite a stop. You know, I'm suddenly brought to a moment where I don't know who I am. Who am I?
Yeah. So that is coming from the mind, because just now the mind has come out of the real self in consciousness imagination. That is what is known as illusion. So now it is looking for the same peace that it had enjoyed by remaining in the real self, merging in the real self. Now it has come out, so it is not knowing the path, it is looking for that happiness. So it keeps trying with every object of this world whether it will get the happiness. Temporarily it may obtain, but it will lose again. Again it will start looking for. So from this only, this who am I also is coming, because it is looking for that supreme peace.
Thank you.
Babaji, you mentioned about a yogi and the imprints it avoids when it's out in the world. The yogi can prevent any experience being imprinted on his mind. But I mean, these imprints go into your mind unconsciously. And particularly when you're a child and you're exposed to the world, and whether there are good experiences or bad experiences, my issue is that these experiences can be imprinted on a child's mind as the child is growing up, and that can affect his personality or his attitude, etc., etc. So how do you prevent children, for example, from not allowing these worldly experiences to be imprinted on their mind, because that can last for a long time as they grow into adults?
Exactly, you are right. It's a very good question. What is important to know, when unconsciously the mind is absorbing imprints, that is to be considered due to ignorance. Childhood doesn't have the knowledge or wisdom or the awareness, that's why it is absorbing. Or we can call it, this ignorance, as an innocent ignorance. It doesn't know, because the brain has not grown at all. For this, whatever karma that has been done in the previous life is only helpful. So like we have told, every time when we die, the brain dies, but the mind is holding all the imprints of whatever it has acquired. Based on that, which forms the intensity of thought, it assumes next birth. So when it is born as a child, it is bringing a basic nature also. That basic nature is what is important. If that is very positive as intact, so then it would be blessed to have such parents, such surroundings, such siblings, all and its own capability to absorb, to understand, observe. All these capabilities differ from child to child. One child might be becoming more matured, learning, started thinking. Like as a child itself, I could think at the age of 8 about this birth and death and happiness and unhappiness. So these type of things, when I read Bhaja Govindam, I became obsessed with the death thought. Adi Shankara also, when he saw the drama of Kathopanishads, Nachiketa's drama, he became very impressed. That's how he got influenced to know the truth. So this is the only way to escape. Otherwise, it can be quite dangerous, as Adi Shankara puts this. So it is like childhood can be like giving your head into the mouth of a crocodile, he says. If the basic nature is not intact, it can be absorbing wrong things and wrong impressions. So let us pray to the divine so that the divine may inspire and bless all the children.
Whilst I've got you there, you also mentioned that there is no such thing as karma. Now, I was always told that if you do bad things, then they come back to you because of that's the law of karma, that if you've done a bad deed, then it comes back to you. So what goes around comes around. So if there is no karma, then I think people might be doing bad things with impunity and not worry about it.
No, I think you didn't get to hear the other sentence. If you don't have anything in your mind, there is no karma. That was the thing I told. But if you go on doing wrong things in this world, your mind will absorb the guilty feeling. It will not give up. You cannot get rid of such karmas. So then you have to undergo such punishments. It will absorb. Only through the practice of meditation and tapas that one can overcome karma. Means, like for example, we have become a yogi. Means I have stopped my mind for the future karmas. For whatever the previous karmas were done, this body will undergo as an illness or something, it will undergo always. So the account has to be closed. Nobody can escape the karma like that.
Well, that is very reassuring. Namaskar, namaskar.
How about Kundalini? Does that play a part? Is it real? Is it imagination?
Kundalini is real, but often the understanding can be wrong about Kundalini. So once again, I will repeat. Previously also I have told, listen to me. Kundalini is also infinite consciousness, another portion of the consciousness called mind. The soul's consciousness has split into two. One has gone into universe, which has recognized as mind with imaginations and creativities. Another portion has gone into the body and coiled as an energetic force. This Kundalini has given all of us a consciousness that we are this body. Our consciousness is so stuck into this body because of this Kundalini. Now, a seeker is advised to control the mind first. Do not bother about Kundalini, because compared to Kundalini, mind is more powerful. If you can bring the mind 100% here, it will lift the Kundalini also automatically. And they both become one mass of consciousness, get detached from the brain and goes towards Samadhi, achieving self-realization. Due to some other reason, some other way, method, teachings, you try to lift the Kundalini. If the mind doesn't come back, then the Kundalini falls down. It can be creating lot of lust and greed in the mind, because mind will not come back from the world unless it is convicted that the world is impermanent and it must have that detachment from the world. Only then the mind comes. So the seeker is advised. So this is the combination of mind and Kundalini. This is what one needs to understand.
That's such a beautiful explanation. Thank you.
Like I read, like when you're sort of recovering from like trauma or whatever, like you're supposed to practice like self-compassion and stuff. So like you're supposed to be like gentle with yourself. Like I found that like really kind of difficult to do, because like I don't really know how to do that. So like how would you do that if you were in my position?
Yeah, you see, you must understand anything. If you feel irritated, if you are trying to be harsh to yourself, you are harming your body. This body is such a wonderful thing that we have got in this world. This has a well developed brain. So you must try to recover to that level. Only then you can achieve better things higher than this. That is very important. So that's why it is necessary that you be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself. So all these things. That is why the imaginations of anger, extreme greed, extreme stinginess, extreme attachment to materialistic world, false pride, and jealousy. These six are considered six enemies of human mind. Whatever humans imagine, it all comes under these six headings only. That's the greatness of the sages who called this. So whoever has got in their mind becomes the first casualty before they can harm somebody. So you need to understand this. You see, consider that you are yourself is fortunate. You are able to get some education from us, from teaching from us. So adopt this teaching and do not harm yourself. Be gentle to yourself, because with this body you can achieve much better things. Forget about the past. Look for the future. Be in the now, present. Wonderful. Some very lovely questions came up, giving me an opportunity to convey my experience and share my opinions and give you as an educational experience.